Welcome to XRP Pro Ledger, and today we are going deep on the question that every serious XRP holder needs to understand right now, and almost nobody in this community is actually answering correctly. How does the Clarity Act get to 60 votes in the full Senate? The committee vote was 15-9. The bill is now on the Senate floor, and the number that matters for final passage is not 15, it is 60. 60 votes are needed to overcome a potential filibuster in the United States Senate. 60 votes means the bill needs Democratic support beyond what it received in committee. And right now, the community is asking whether 60 is achievable. I want you to stay with me through this entire breakdown because at the 8-minute mark, I am going to show you exactly which Democratic senators are most likely to cross party lines on the full Senate vote, and why the Gallego and Alsobrooks precedent from the committee vote is the most important data point for understanding how this gets to 60. But before we get to the vote math, let us establish why the full Senate vote is a fundamentally different political calculation than the committee vote. The Senate Banking Committee has 13 Republican members and 11 Democratic members. A party line vote in committee produces 13-11. The Clarity Act cleared committee 15-9 because 2 Democrats crossed. Senators Ruben Gallego of Arizona and Angela Alsobrooks of Maryland. But the full Senate has 100 members, 53 Republicans and 47 Democrats. A party line vote produces 53, which is a majority, but not the 60 needed to end debate and force a final vote. The Clarity Act needs 7 Democratic votes in the full Senate to reach 60. 7 senators from a 47-member Democratic caucus need to decide that the political argument for digital asset regulatory clarity is stronger than the political argument for party unity. And here is why that number is more achievable than most people think. Let us start with the Gallego and Alsobrooks precedent, because what these 2 senators did at the committee level tells you something very specific about the political dynamics driving Democratic crossover votes on crypto legislation. Senator Ruben Gallego represents Arizona. Arizona has one of the highest retail crypto adoption rates of any state in the country. The Coinbase and crypto industry advocacy machine has been systematically targeting high adoption states with constituent pressure campaigns. And Gallego crossed party lines despite over 100 amendment attempts from his own leadership, because his constituents are XRP holders, not because he agrees with every provision in the bill. Senator Angela Alsobrooks represents Maryland. Maryland has a significant technology and financial services workforce. Many of her constituents work in industries directly affected by digital asset regulatory clarity. She made the calculation that the policy argument for clarity outweighs the political argument for opposition. These 2 votes tell you the crossover coalition is built on constituent economics, not ideology. And when you map constituent economics across the full Democratic Senate caucus, the path to 7 becomes visible. Now let us talk about the specific states where Democratic senators face the strongest constituent pressure to support the Clarity Act. Nevada, Colorado, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Maryland are already confirmed crossovers from the committee vote. The remaining 7 needed from the full caucus come from states where retail crypto adoption is high, where financial services employment is significant, and where senators are calculating their re-election math. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada, Senator Michael Bennet of Colorado, Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, Senator John Ossoff of Georgia, Senator Gary Peters of Michigan, Senator Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin. These are the names that XRP holders should be watching as the full Senate vote approaches. None of these senators represent states where crypto opposition is a winning political position. All of them represent states where a vote against regulatory clarity for digital assets is a vote against a meaningful portion of their constituent base. Now let us talk about why July 4th is not just a political target. It is a strategic deadline that accelerates the crossover math. The White House and Republican leadership are targeting July 4th, 2026 for the presidential signing of the Clarity Act. That is Independence Day. That framing is deliberate. Signing the most significant digital asset legislation in United States history on Independence Day sends a message to every financial market in the world. The United States is declaring its leadership in the digital asset space. And any senator who votes against that message is on record opposing American financial leadership at a moment of maximum political visibility. The July 4th deadline changes the political calculation for Democratic senators who are on the fence. It is no longer a vote on technical regulatory language. It is a vote on whether America leads or follows in the next generation of financial infrastructure. That framing makes the crossover argument significantly easier for the 7 senators the bill needs. And the Memorial Day recess is already past. The summer schedule is compressed. The window between now and July 4th is narrow, which means the political pressure on fence-sitting senators is building faster than the timeline suggests. Now let us talk about what is already live on the ground, because the infrastructure picture makes the 60-vote math even more urgent for every institution that had been waiting for compliance clarity. Ripple's on-demand liquidity system is already operating in over 90 countries, processing cross-border payments using XRP as the bridge asset. The infrastructure is built, the corridors are live, the settlement speeds are proven. The only thing holding full institutional scale adoption back is the compliance uncertainty that 60 Senate votes removes permanently. Every bank compliance department that has been watching the Clarity Act process is not waiting for the bill to pass before doing its analysis. They are running the models now, stress testing the regulatory frameworks now, preparing the internal approvals now, so that the moment the presidential signature converts committee advancement into federal law, the deployment decisions are already made. The 60-vote path is not just a legislative milestone for the XRP community, it is the starting gun for institutional deployment that has been loaded in AIM for 18 months. And RLUSD adds another dimension to what that deployment looks like in practice. RLUSD sitting at $1.44 billion in circulating supply, backed by BNY Mellon custody and Deloitte attestations, integrated on Binance and Kraken and Bitstamp, is the stable leg that runs alongside XRP and ODL corridors. Every dollar of RLUSD volume that runs through the XRP ledger generates mandatory XRP activity, meaning the compliance unlock that 60 votes delivers does not just open the door for XRP price appreciation, it opens the door for RLUSD adoption that directly accelerates XRP utility demand. That is 2 compounding demand sources waiting for one legislative milestone. Now let us talk about what happens to the institutional picture the moment the 60-vote threshold is achieved. Standard Chartered's Jeffrey Kendrick has published 2 scenarios for XRP price following Clarity Act enactment. The base case places XRP at $2.80 by end of 2026 on ETF inflows of $4 to $6 billion. The bull case places XRP at $8 if ETF inflows reach $10 billion and full regulatory clarity is confirmed by presidential signature. Right now, cumulative XRP ETF inflows are at $1.374 billion, accumulated during regulatory uncertainty. Before the committee vote, before July 4th, the base case assumes $4 to $6 billion arrives after enactment. That is 3 to 4 times the current cumulative total, arriving after the compliance barrier that has been holding institutional capital back is permanently removed. Exchange reserves are down 56% since October 2025. The supply pool that would absorb that ETF demand has been systematically reduced by whale accumulation, with 91% of Binance outflows happening in whale-sized transactions as recently as May 15th. The math between the supply picture and the demand projections does not require speculation to understand. It requires only arithmetic. Now I want to address something directly, because this community deserves a rational voice on what the full Senate math actually means and what it does not mean. 60 votes is not guaranteed. The political path is visible but not confirmed. There are scenarios where fence-sitting Democratic senators calculate that party unity is more valuable than constituent pressure. There are scenarios where the July 4th timeline slips into the fall. David Schwartz has been consistent about this for months. The rational framework for XRP conviction is based on public data and visible political math, not hidden mechanisms or secret confirmations. The public data says the committee vote cleared 15-9 with bipartisan support. The public math says 7 Democratic senators in high crypto adoption states are the key to 60. The public timeline says July 4th is the target, and the public on-chain data says whales are positioning as if the math resolves in favor of passage. That is the rational framework, not certainty, but visible probability supported by on-chain conviction from the largest holders on the network. Now I want to talk about what most people in this community are getting wrong right now. XRP is holding near $1.45. The biggest regulatory win in XRP history happened 2 days ago. The full Senate path to 60 is visible. July July 4th is weeks away, and the retail market is quiet right now, wondering if the momentum is fading. This is the discount window staying open right now. The entities that moved 68.5% of supply into private custody did not stop accumulating this week. The ETF managers at Bitwise and Franklin Templeton did not pause their allocation processes. The retail market looks for excitement to feel confident, the institution's position in the silence, and the price that exists right now, $1.45 after the most significant regulatory win in XRP's history, is the price that exists because most retail participants are not paying attention to what the data is actually saying. That gap between what is happening structurally and what the price chart shows right now, that is exactly where patient capital positions. So let us zoom out and see the complete picture assembling on May 16, 2026. The Clarity Act cleared committee 15-9. The full Senate needs 60 votes. 7 Democratic senators from high crypto adoption states are the path to 60. Gallego and Alsobrooks established the crossover precedent. Nevada, Colorado, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, and Wisconsin senators are the key names to watch. July 4th White House signing target creates compressed political timeline. Exchange reserves down 56% since October. Whale outflow dominance 91% as recently as May 15th. 68.5% of circulating supply locked in private custody. Standard Chartered projecting 2.80 base case and $8 bull case. Cumulative ETF total 1.374 billion before 60 votes even crossed. ODL live in 90+ countries waiting for the compliance unlock. RLUSD at 1.44 billion, adding utility demand on top of price demand. The full Senate math is not a mystery. It is 7 senators in 6 states, calculating whether their constituents are better served by regulatory clarity or party unity. And the entities locking 68.5% of XRP supply have already made their bet on how that calculation resolves. If this analysis changed how you are thinking about the full Senate path and what it means for XRP, hit like and subscribe. I drop deep dive breakdowns like this twice a day to keep you ahead of the move.